good afternoon, and thank you for joining us for our Friday Lunch and Learn. Now today we've got 3 different reports on my desk, and I'm trying to access some information on my computer so that I can give you like up to the minute information. We've got a lot of conflicting reports here, and so I want to start at the top and go down. And so many of you may have noticed that our president had a goal of 70% of Americans fully inoculated as of July the 4th, and that fell short. We only had 67%, and so 67% is quite a few. And so as an answer to that, they're going to be sending healthcare workers door to door to see how you are doing, if you have been complying with the health mandates, or if you are, thinking for yourself and doing what's best for yourself and your family. So this is something that we're looking forward to, and maybe not, okay? Maybe not. Okay, something's going on with my computer. I apologize. Some ads come in while I'm waiting on that report to come, and I don't want that on there. I apologize. Anyway, so I don't particularly want a healthcare worker coming to my home. It's funny because at the end of the month, a healthcare worker is coming to my home because they want to do a well check on my husband, and it's like I'm taking good care of him and that kind of thing, and he has a doctor that he visits regularly, but his insurance company is not quite convinced that we're doing the best job possible. I don't know why they think they have to intervene, but they do. So I don't know if this is something that is in the cards for now moving forward, if this is part of our new normal, but I certainly don't like it. The press coverage about these healthcare workers, and this is a direct quote, so please get vaccinated now. It works, it's free, it's never been easier, and it's never been more important. Do it now, do it for yourself, for the people you care about, for your neighborhood, and for your country. It sounds corny, but it's the patriotic thing to do, okay? Now, according to the CDC, as I said, 67% of Americans have received at least one injection, and 157 million are fully protected. So these people are coming, and they're going to, I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to want to see your card. I don't know if they're going to want to see I don't know. I don't know what they're doing. But that's what the president is doing. So yes, Renee, the insurance company, my husband is of that ripe old Medicare age, okay? So, and I'll be joining him next year. Next year is I get to be on Medicare next year, so that's just how old we are. And they're not convinced that he is being well taken care of, and so they want to come and do a home visit. And they're going to be quite surprised when they get here, I can just tell you, because it's like, my body, my choice, my HIPAA regulations, and you're not included in that information. So just throwing that out there. We're a little bit of a rebel in that regard. So this was from the Business Insider magazine, and this was July the 8th, and it is it's a report by Christopher Murray. He is the director of the Institute for Health Metrics and Evaluations. All right, so these are the bullet points. Okay, the bullet points are: vaccinated people are well protected from severe illness and even death as the Delta variant emerges. So that's not what you're hearing. That's not what you're hearing on mainstream media. You are hearing that with this Delta variant, you're going to be in big trouble. All right, so this doctor, and he is the director of this institute, he says if you have already had your inoculations, you're well protected. However, it is possible for fully vaccinated people to be asymptomatic and spread COVID-19 to others. A top disease modeler who advises the White House said that vaccinated people should still wear masks. So they're still just on that, okay? And so this was all being reported. Now, I don't know if you know this, but the CDC has said we don't want to track vaccinated people. We don't want to see if they've got COVID or not. Why is that? Because more and more people, I'm getting reports every day of people that have had their injections and then they develop the virus. And that is just not how it is supposed to work in the real world, but that is what is happening. So the CDC has said, do not get tested unless you are symptomatic. So that's a whole big different thing. It says we're probably missing a bunch of transmissions in vaccinated individuals. This is that Dr. Murray, okay, that's what he's saying. The disease modelers at Scripps says that the Delta variant could be responsible for 60% of the COVID-19 cases in the United States. Now, I'm still trying to build that report on my computer here. You can't see it, but it's still spinning. There is a map. Let me show you the map. Okay, this is a map of the United States and all of the different states. It's in black and white because, you know, I just didn't print it out in color. But one of the interesting things is that there is no vaccine data for Texas. Why is that? And that's what I was trying to do on this report, is find out how many people in the great state of Texas have been vaccinated, because according to the color graph, it says no data available. So I know, I have people in my office every day that have been vaccinated, so I know there's data out there. Maybe it's so low that they don't want to report it. They'd rather just report nothing. So anyway, just that. All right, this Dr. Murray says that the vaccines do not prevent infection. They are designed to better defend your body against the virus. The vaccines authorized in the U.S. do very well even against Delta. Now, again, there is no vaccine authorized in the United States by the FDA. There is emergency use authorization, but there is no vaccine for COVID-19 that has been approved, okay? This doctor goes on to say Delta has wreaked far greater havoc among the unvaccinated. The hospitalizations are trending up in several states, including Missouri, Arkansas, Utah, and the Mississippi. It says these are the same places where vaccination rates are lagging. But of course, on the map, they don't tell you, and you can't drill down into this. My thing is still spinning, and it says, please be patient, we're building this report. So, okay, I'm watching it, but I'm talking to you, all right? So how can Delta move through a semi-vaccinated population? So the Tim Spector, who is an epidemiologist in King's College London, told The Insider, this is this magazine we're reading from, that while there is no evidence that Delta is deadlier, it is more infectious, and because of that extra stickiness, it has extra stickiness, it's going to keep breaking through the vaccine group, okay? More than half of Scotland is fully vaccinated, and 71% of Scots have received at least one dose. But the country is suffering the worst wave of infections. You cannot explain the explosive epidemic in Scotland. It is a high vaccinated population, and they're not playing a role in transmission. So this guy says they're not playing a role in transmission. However, Will Lee, who is the Vice President of Science at Helix, which is a testing company helping the CDC track variants, said areas with higher vaccination rates tend to have fewer infectious cases. He points out that studies indicating that Delta cases are milder in vaccinated people, and therefore people are not infectious for as long. It stands to reason, he said, that vaccinated people would not transmit as much. Okay, so that just contradicts what they're saying in Scotland, okay? So you just have to look at what's going on. And Renee says, yes, it is now endemic. And yes, that is something that we need to talk about. Pandemic is like a once of occurrence. Endemic is something that happens year after year after year, which is what we see with the flu. It's what we see with colds and that kind of thing. And so this is not something that we need to be worried about if we keep ourselves strong, if we keep our immune system strong, if we do what we need to do, okay? Murray says that COVID-19 outbreaks are being investigated in U.S. groups that are 90% plus vaccinated, okay? that could only be occurring if they are transmitting amongst each other. So what this doctor is saying is that people who have had their injections are transmitting between the vaccinated group. And this cracks me up because my dear parents, and I love my parents, and I mean to honor my parents for sure, they are in the 80 and above group, and they are the people that have been so just crazy scared about this virus, right? So they go out and they get their vaccine, and now it's like, oh, I'm good, I'm vaccinated, nobody's going to hurt me, and I'm fine. But what we're seeing is a high transmissible infection in those that are vaccinated. So that's what Dr. Murray says. Now I want to give you some real encouragement here, because this article was from April, and it says that while the virus is mutating randomly, our immune system also is targeting these mutations with our antibodies. Our antibodies are actually mutating as well and are well able to handle these variants. So I thought this was very encouraging, and this is not what you're seeing on the mainstream media. So it's a little bit detailed. Renee's on. Renee is in the healthcare professional. She is a healthcare professional. She's very smart. She'll be able to, whatever I'm saying, she's going to be able to break it down. So kind of watch the comments, because I can't respond to all the comments while I'm talking about this, all right? So what we want to do is we want to look at what is our body doing. Now, I always tell you that your immune system is so smart. Your body is so smart. And God has given us everything that we need to be hale and hearty and be able to do what we need to do in this world. Now, when we damage it by sodas and alcohol and cigarettes and drugs and drama and strife and all those kind of things, then we hurt our recuperative capacity. But by and large, if we eat right, we sleep right, we live right, we're going to have a really strong, robust immune system. So a lot of the mainstream news that I'm hearing out there, and I'm not hearing too much because I'm not tuning in to the mainstream media, I'm just not, but I see things on Facebook, I see things on the little bit of news that I do watch. They're saying that, oh my goodness, we're all going to have to go back into lockdown because of this Delta variant. And they're just using scare tactics, and we don't need to be buying into that. Hopefully we're not buying into that, all right? So it says the emergence of variants has raised concerns about long-term immunity to the virus. Will the antibodies we make after being infected or inoculated protect against the Delta variant? All right, so the answer to this question, the scientists have been examining how our antibody response to this coronavirus development over time. Several studies have recently been compared, and the difference between antibodies produced straight after an infection and those that can be detected 6 months later. Now, I'm just going to tell you, I find this very funny. We've got people that come in that have had the virus, and they have gone 6 months later and been tested for antibodies, and they have 0 antibodies. So I don't know how that works. When you get an infection, especially a virus, the body makes antibodies. It recognizes that this is an invader, and it sends out our white cell, warriors to take care of it. And antibodies are one of the devices that it does. So I'm wondering, if you have no antibodies, were you ever infected in the first place? That's a question. I don't know. I'm not a medical person, okay? I am a researcher. I am a holistic person, so I do not know. This report, just so I can give you this report is a clinical research fellow in viral immunology, and the second researcher is a cancer researcher and UK clinician scientist fellow at the University of Cambridge in England. So of course they're just, they do things a little bit differently, but this is important research. The researchers have tested their ability, the antibody ability to bind to proteins from the new COVID variants, and found that 83% of the mature antibodies are better at recognizing the variants. Now, we're going to talk about how antibodies are made in the body. So try not to tune me out. I'm going to try and break it down so that it's not like Charlie Brown's teacher, right? But it is science and it is complicated. A recent preprint, now this is a study that has not been peer reviewed, but it has found that some antibodies present at 6 months after the infection were starting to be able to recognize related but entirely distinct viruses such as the Delta variation. How is this possible? Well, it's quite simply because the B cells that make the antibodies evolve after they are first activated. Now, this can be activated with an injection or this can be activated with an infection, all right? So you get the wild virus, your body steps up, you start to make antibodies. If you get the shot, your body steps up and it starts to make the antibodies, all right? While it is well known that viruses can mutate over time, our own B cells also take advantage of the mutations to make superior, that means better than, okay, better than original, they make superior antibodies. So there's something called somatic hypermutation, all right? If you want to look at that, you can Google that. I Googled that. It didn't really help me too much. But this is just the body's response to evolving to be more strong as an immune system. Okay, so I'm trying to break that down for you. A key difference in the mutation of the antibodies and the viruses is that the mutation in the antibodies, right, are not entirely random. They are, in fact, directly caused by an enzyme that is found in the B cells known as activation-induced dreaminase. I may not have said that right, but that's my phonics. D-E-A-R-M-I-N-A-S-E, dreaminase. That may not be right, but that's the way I see it. This enzyme, they call it the AID. This enzyme causes mutations in the DNA responsible for making part of the antibody that can recognize the virus. This mutation mechanism was first understood by pioneering researchers at the MBC Laboratory of Molecular Biology in Cambridge, UK, almost 20 years ago. So this AID activity leads to a much higher mutation in the B cells, more than the other cells, and this phenomenon is called somatic hypermutation. Now, we want the B cells to be able to modify themselves so when these variants come, they are recognized and they are dealt with. So when the research that I looked at earlier in that earlier report says, yes, those that have had the infection, those that have been inoculated have a much milder case with the variants, that is because of the antibody mutation. So the point I'm trying to make here is I don't want you running around like a chicken with your head cut off thinking, oh my gosh, we've got this variant here that we're not vaccinated for, that we've never seen before, and that we're going to have problems with. I don't want you thinking that because your body has already adapted. I'm just saying, I've been working in the clinic the whole time that this thing has been going on, so well over a year. I have had people, I had a lady come in last week, and she said, I don't feel good. We did some work. She called back this week. She went to the hospital. She was tested. And guess what? She's positive for the virus. Am I worried about it? No, I'm not worried about it. Why is that? Because I keep my immune system on alert. So whenever I cross paths with someone that is infectious, then my antibodies do what they need to do because that's the way the body is supposed to work. I sleep. I rest, I eat right, probably 85% of the time. I don't have drama in my life, probably 80% of the time. I mean, drama happens, and I get to choose if I'm going to, lean into that, or if I'm going to lean into peace. I'm going to lean into the things that I know for self-care to keep my immune system the way my immune system needs to be. So the main thing I want you to know is that your immune system is evolving all the time, and this variant is not something that you need to be worried about. The report goes on. Within the lymph nodes, now the lymph nodes, you've got lymph nodes in your neck here, in your pits, down your spinal column, in your groin, and behind your knees. Remember, I always tell you, your lymph nodes are like, they've got little Pac-Man creatures in there that eat up all the viruses, the germs, the whatever that comes through. That's what they're supposed to do. Well, your B cells, your natural killer cells, your T cells, all of that is involved in your immune response, okay? The B cells congregate in your lymph nodes, all right? The B cells can make better antibodies after somatic hypermutation are given positive signals to make them replicate faster. So the B cells are making new receptors, for lack of a better word, to catch the variant, right? Not all B cells are doing that. Some are doing this hypermutation. They're going to be well aware. Some stay the same, some just die. That's just how it works. There's 3 different categories of that. It says other B cells fall by the wayside and die. This process is called affinity maturation, all right? The strength or affinity with which the antibodies bind to their target matures and improves over time. After this rigorous selection, the antibodies, as shown by the illustration, okay, there's an illustration here, they're large Y-shaped proteins in the immune system, and they identify the virus. So I'm going to show you this. I don't know if you can really see it, but this is a big Y-shaped protein here, right? And that's what it does with the variant. It goes out there, it sticks up, the virus attaches to it, and then the antibodies do what they're supposed to do, all right? The newly emerged B cell, all right, will now produce improved antibodies, leading to a more effective immune response. So please, 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 when you're hearing and reading that, oh my God, the sky is falling because we have this new variant, know that your body is so smart. You're smart. If you've been infected, if you've been injected, it doesn't matter. Your body is smart, and your body is going to recognize the variant, and the body is well able to take care of it, all right? It says the course of the typical infection is from 10 to 14 days. So the first wave of antibodies, right, driving out the virus doesn't have long enough to evolve because the affinity maturation normally takes place over weeks. But researchers from the United States, so that's here in our country, research from the United States have shown that small non-infectious bits of the SARS-CoV-2 remain in the body after an infection has cleared. So the B cells can keep being reminded of what the virus looks like, and they're going to make those adaptations so when the variant comes, your body is well able. Overall, the antibody evolution, means that if a person is infected with the virus a second time, the antibodies with far superior binding ability will be ready and waiting. Antibody evolution will begin after the first infection, okay? And it will only improve in the weeks that pass. So this is a good thing. I'm just going to be real honest with you. I have never had the flu. Just never had it. I have had a cold, all right? I've never had the flu shot. Not going to get it. I have not had COVID. Not going to get it. I'm just not going to get it. And so why is that? Why can I be so adamant about that? Because I do for my immune system what I need to do for my immune system. I will just tell you, I take a small little, it's a jade green gel cap every night of wild oregano oil. Now, this is not essential oil. Wild oregano essential oil is very, very toxic to the body. It's very volatile. It will burn through your GI tract. We don't recommend that. That's not what I'm saying. This is from a different part of the plant. But oregano, okay, the oil that comes from oregano is a natural antibiotic. It is a natural antiviral. So the one that we have has, I think, 85% catecholamines in it, which means that it's very, very effective to search out and destroy viruses. So I do that every day. Why do I do that? Am I afraid? No, I'm not afraid. I'm just smart. I work in, a place where people come in contaminated. I mean, they just do it. I say that with all the love in my heart because you guys make my day when you come in and I'm able to help you. But I want to protect my immunity. I live with a spouse. I'm out in the community at church and whatever. And so I keep my immune system on alert. So if anything happens to cross into my field, I breathe it in, I touch it, whatever, then my body goes, oh, hello, this is a vibration that we're not used to. We need to figure out what to do with that. Yes, we have that here in the clinic, Karen. We definitely have that. And this is something I've told you last year in 2020, IPA, the International Iridology Practitioners Association, they had their symposium. It was a cruise. We had planned for this a year in advance, and so nobody knew anything about COVID and that kind of thing. So we had planned to go on this cruise. We had paid our money. We had done what we needed to do, and my dad is like having kittens because I'm going on this cruise when we've got this virus emerging. We took antivirals, natural antivirals, before we got on the ship. We took them while we were there. We took them when we got off for a whole week. Double dose. I took one in the morning, one in the evening. We never got sick. My husband and I never got sick. Now, there were people in our group that got sick. So we know we were exposed, right? And they didn't get sick with COVID, but they got sick with the flu. We didn't get sick. Why is that? Because we protect our immune system, and when we're going into a high target environment, cruise ships are high target environments. They just are, unless you're just out on the deck all the time, which most people, that's just not where they spend all their time. So when you travel in the airplane, that's a high target environment. When you're in an enclosed space, that's a high target environment. So it's really good for you to go outside, get fresh air, open the windows, air out the house, air out the buildings, all that kind of stuff. So I'm just saying, you can help your body maintain the immunity that God gave you by doing healthy practices. Now remember, you've got two immune systems. You've got your innate immune system, what you're born with, and then you've got your acquired immune system, what you come in contact with throughout the course of your life. So like me, if you ate out of the dog dish, you boosted your immune system, okay? That was acquired immunity. I don't recommend you doing that. Things happen, right? I was little. I love my dog. You go outside and you garden, which I do. I get microbes from the soil on my hands. I wipe my face. I'm sure I breathe it in. That is acquired immunity, all right? And so if you keep your body healthy by what you think, what you eat, what you drink, how well you avoid drama, right? Then you can keep your immune system responding the way you need to. You don't need to be afraid of the variant. I'm just saying, as many people that have been infected, as many people that have been inoculated, if you have not been exposed, you must live in a cave somewhere. So I would think that by now, all of us have been exposed, all of us have created antibodies, and all of us are going to be able to weather this just fine. So please don't get into fear. Please trust your immune system, trust your body, and do what you think is right. My time is up. Thank you for joining me. Enjoy the weekend. Practice self-care. Make sure you take care of yourself and others. Have some downtime, have some relaxation, and I will see you next week. Take care. If you have any comments, pop them in the box, and we will try and get back to you. I will put these reports in the comment box if they allow me to. They're not allowing me to do a lot of things now because they don't like what I'm saying. Just saying. That's the way it goes. I'll see you next week.